What affordability we have, what other pressures we have. We've got a lot of pressures on the system. I mean, if you think about what's happening, for instance, as a result of the Terra Nova case, for very low-income workers, there's going to be big adjustment.
If I could just ask you one question that came up from our poll, which was around the issue of you fighting for the rights of citizens or non-citizens, as it is in Australia, New Zealanders there. It shows that a clear majority of New Zealanders would like you to be reciprocal, effectively retaliate with a similar policy here. Have you been lacking in leadership on that issue?
No, because I just don't think that's the right thing to do. So we already deport New Zealanders from Australia. We have a much higher threshold than they do. They used to have the same level, and they changed it a year ago under Tony Abbott. So of course I could go and change it.
But were you under pressure on this? Do you regret, you know, when you made the racist comments in the House, was that born out of that pressure that you were under over your leadership?
No, not in the slightest.
And you don't regret those comments?
No, because the point I was making was I walked into the House, and, you know, let's not recreate history. I walked into the House, a very senior member of the Labour Party, Kelvin Davis, had a camera in my view and started screaming at me so that it could be played on the news that I was gutless because I hadn't stood up for the people on Christmas Island.
But should you use a term such as rape to make a political point?
No, the point I was making is that Kelvin Davis and the Labour Party have been only talking about that particular issue, those detainees.
And I understand you needed to make that point.
I've been dealing with it across the board.
Sure, and I understand you felt you needed to make that point. Fair enough. But why use the term rape, which then upset a whole lot of women across the country? And I wonder whether you're now in danger of alienating women. Well,
it's the opposite. And the point I was making, and the point I've made the whole way through, and rightfully so, is I have stood up for the victims of rape. I have stood up for the other New Zealanders who could be at risk of people that do that. My record on that is 100%. The record of Kelvin Davis and the Labour Party is to solely present those people on Christmas Island, their human rights, and not talk about anybody else. That can't put me on the wrong side of the debate, puts me on the right side of the debate, because I will defend the rights of New Zealanders that are here, and that's why the government's changed the law. But I've also stood up for those people in those detention centres. I've got them the right now to appeal from New Zealand, and some of them are coming back. I've got double the amount of people working in Australia for them, and a third to half of them are getting successful outcomes. But to go and have a guy yell at me like that, a senior member of the Labour Party, to do it for a stunt for TV so that the TV channels could play that, you and I both know that was done solely for a reason to try and make me look bad. And actually, this very position was created by the Labour Party with Helen Clark. And I don't think that's a fair representation.
Prime Minister, we have to leave it there. We've run out of time, but thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, Corin.